Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Let's allow more people to join. Just wait for a couple minutes and then we will get started. I have some issue with my video, so I cannot switch it on, but from next class I will switch it on so we can talk face to face. Okay. Okay, I think we can get started. We can start talking, and if anyone else wants to join, they can join. Okay, so yeah, welcome to CS 216. This is a course for C++ object-oriented programming. And in fact, this is the second installment of our C++ classes that we offer at Los Angeles Community College District. So the main theme of this class will be, as you know, probably, I mean, from the syllabus, etc. I will go through everything, but giving some very high level introduction, we are going to study mostly the object oriented programming. Uh, so so far in the last C++ class, I think we have covered all the procedural programming things with the C++. But in this class particularly, we will be doing the object-oriented programming, and that is important because I mean, whoever is doing any computer science, they need to understand the basics of object-oriented programming, and this will be a gateway. This class will be a gateway to many things. Number one is particularly uh, getting yourself introduced into the the programming world. I mean, many of you I know already been exposed to, but it will be very like comprehensive introduction to the way people do the programming. C++ is one of the like oldest but yet modern language. Oldest modern means it's oldest, but at the same time it is being continuously improved, or new features are continuously being added, and many other languages came from here. So if you learn programming in this language, then it should be pretty straightforward for anyone to switch to any other languages such as Java or Python. Many other languages are there. So that's why from the career perspective, from being able to do a very good job at your whatever you are doing, even for if you want to, many of us, I mean, many of you want to maybe uh, uh, go, I mean, like join the uh, public universities, 4-year universities as a transfer student. So these credits can be transferred there. Of course, you have to talk to the school for that, the process, but this is a good opportunity to learn the language and also get the credit of this from this language. So let me quickly share my screen, and that way actually we will be able to go through the details of the class, that details of the process that we will be following. uh, Quickly, somebody is waiting here, so let me uh, admit them real quick. Okay, that's good. So let me open up the canvas. So probably all of you, uh, I mean, is there anyone who does not have access to Canvas? There shouldn't be anyone, but still, if you don't have access, you should talk to school. I mean, help desk pretty soon in order to get the access so that we can get into there as fast as possible. So this is your course. Uh, Basically, you will see it here, the object-oriented programming with C++. And so if you go to your course site, I'm just going through the details. Many of you, I understand that many of you may not need that much detail. You already went through the details, but I'm just trying to introduce you so that we don't have any confusion. So we have, I mean, this is the home page, and then you have the syllabus. So in the syllabus, actually, I let us go through the syllabus first. I mean, it's the prerequisites are pretty well defined. I mean, this prerequisite, of course, this is relative to East Los Angeles College, ELAC. I mean, there are other colleges, community colleges, they have the similar course but different number. So I think that determinant is the, I mean, when you enroll, then some validation, they do some validation at that level, and that's the way we can get into there. So basically, you can see the course description. I briefly explained to you. The important thing is the communication. So this class will be a synchronous online class. So we will be meeting every Thursday, and I mean the attendance is mandatory. It is not just, I mean, attendance is required for two purposes. Number one is that we want you to learn the subject. That is number one. That is the main purpose of the attendance. And number two is the from the school's perspective, uh, the, the school needs to fulfill a lot of requirements from the financial aid, and also from the administration perspective. So that's why we need to be attending the class pretty regularly. All the times we need at least 80% of the attendance. Otherwise, as per school's policy, they say that, for example, during the mandatory early roster polling, if we find that someone is not attending any classes, not present in any of the sessions, then there is a chance that school will ask them to be removed from the roster. But we don't want that. I mean, I personally do not want that. So I want you to attend, and this is a good opportunity for you to learn the subject and also ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can. So the reason is, I mean, whenever you will turn into your professional life, professional career, or higher classes, then people will expect that you will know several things. But here, since you were at the very beginning of this object oriented programming, so it is your opportunity to learn as many questions as possible. And also, I mean, don't bother to ask me for additional help. For example, if you need any help, we can always schedule some office hour according to both of our convenience, and we can talk about whatever questions you have, if you need any extra help. And also, there are a lot of tutoring opportunities within the ELAC itself, and there is net tutoring. I mean, a lot of uh, resources you already have, but I can also help you if you have any issue in understanding anything in the class. So the most important thing is, please do all communications by email. That way it will be easier for me to go over the email periodically. And it will be like, if you send me an email, it will be like 24 to 48 hours. I will be getting back to you. And don't avoid using the Canvas email. Just send me to the LACCD email, that school's email. That way I will be notified immediately. That's on my mobile device, and I will get it. So that is the communication. This is super important. Then you have, I mean, the class timing. I think that is already written on the canvas everywhere. So that's every Thursday, 6:50 to 8:55 p.m. Pacific time. Um, so I mean, there is no confusion here. We are all Pacific time. So just still, and I put some links for the canvas orientations, but I understand that this is already an advanced class, and most of you, if not all, um, are oriented with Canvas. But in case, I mean, if it is not, then you can go through this Canvas orientation guide. There is a Canvas helpline 24 by 7. So just, I mean, you can click one of these links and you will find all the information. And for the course information, we will be following this textbook, starting out with C++ from control structures to objects. Uh, so this textbook is available. If you click the link, you will go to the place where you can buy the textbook. So here it is, and I found that it is basically from LACCD, I mean, community college level. This is pretty, it can be considered at low cost because it's so long as it's less than $50, they call it low cost. So that's pretty much it is. In general, I will be uploading the slides for each of the sessions. The slides are built based on the textbook. So slides, you can consider the slides to be a summary of summarized version of whatever is covered in the textbook. So if you want to answer the quiz, things like that, the slides can be helpful sometimes. I mean, most of the times. These are the progression that I have mapped here. I mean, this is a plan as of today. It may change a little bit, but it will not change drastically over the time. So we will be starting with arrays and vectors. As per my understanding, you may have covered already some of the arrays or vectors in your previous C++ class. I don't know. I mean, if that is not true, then tell me. But maybe we have already covered some of the arrays and vectors. But still, I want to start with this particular chapter because we will be using a lot of arrays and vector stuff during the course. And then we'll be doing the searching and sorting of arrays. So the intent here is to get you oriented with the subject matter slowly, but comprehensively, so that when it comes to classes, you will be already completing 7 weeks. So you should be at that point, you should be very pretty much expert of doing the procedural programming in C++. So these are the tentative progression for the course. And overall, we will be doing the labs. Labs means there will be programming assignments. So I mean, those are the simple programs. I mean, I'm not going to give you very hard problems searching from internet all over the places. Those will be from the books. So if you are very oriented with the textbook, if you follow the class, you should be able to solve the problems on your own. If you have any difficulty, let me know. I mean, I can help you out. Then there are labs, there are quizzes, there will be discussions, there will be attendance, of course. I mean, every day there will be uh, an attendance, like 150 points total towards the attendance. Some pop quizzes. I mean, some people sometimes they freak out whenever the teachers talk about the pop quizzes. But in this class, this will be easy pop quizzes. I mean, you don't expect anything very hard or very hard to answer. It will be simple questions. Whatever we have studied in your previous class or something we have already covered in the class, pop quizzes will be based on that. but I mean it will be random, like not for every class, but maybe I mean once in a while you will have the pop quizzes. We will have the midterm. The midterm timing is kind of where here 14th week. That means you should have, I mean, during the this class actually, for 10 for 11, that will be midterm. I will tell you exact date for that. It's missing from here, I know. And then we have the final, of course, and based on that we, so the concept here is you will be not uh, I mean you will be not evaluated just based on certain exams, midterm or final. You will have opportunity to score throughout the class. I mean, if you are engaged, you see here, you have the labs, you have the discussions, you have quizzes, you have attendance. These are four, I mean, top tier scoring areas. I mean, on the contrary, you see that the midterm and final, they are not, I mean, they do matter, but everything is evenly weighted. So, for example, if you score 520 in the labs, then you will get what? I mean, what percent? Out of 1120, you have already scored 520. So, whatever percent it is, you will be scoring that. So it will be not that finals will be 85% and then rest of the stuff is 15%. I want to make it easy for you because I want you to learn the subject. Don't pay extra attention to the grades from the beginning. Just learn the subject. Grades will come automatically. So that's the grading policy, and you can see the grading, the later grades here as well. Attendance, I already spoke with you about the attendance, and pretty much this is everything we I wanted to cover in the syllabus part. So do you have any questions with the syllabus? Okay. So since the syllabus is okay, then I believe that the way you should progress like every week. I mean, these are the, I mean, the first module, the 0th module, I would say this one, the first one. So this one, basically, you can see we have the some welcome notes. You may need it, you may not need it, but I put it there just for reference. Our C++ related stuff starts from here, module one. So, so here, if you navigate, you will see that there is a reading assignment. The Zoom is being recorded, so I will be inserting the recording of this session once the class is over. Whenever the Zoom recording is available to me, I will be uploading it here. There are PowerPoint slides. As I said, PowerPoint, you should consider PowerPoints to be a, I mean, abridged version of your textbook. So if you read the PowerPoints, you will know exactly the geography of your textbook, what is there on each module or each chapter. And then if you go to the textbook, everything will be pretty simple. And so basically you need to read the chapter 7 as a I mean first step. Then PowerPoint slide, I'm going to discuss about these topics. So my expectation is whenever you come to the class, do a little bit of exploration. What does the chapter 7 say about the arrays and vectors? So before you come to the class, if you know exactly what you are expecting to learn, then it will be easier on you. Otherwise, I mean, if we don't study any, I mean, if we don't know what is going on, then I come here and then I start speaking about something, then you will think, oh, what is that? So we want to avoid that situation. So that's the module one reading. So we'll be starting pretty soon. Then the important step here is in this class, what I recommend is that we use the Visual Studio Code. So who, I mean, who does not know Visual Studio Code? Is there anyone who does not have that setup? Or is there anyone who has the setup? I would say, I should say in that way. I mean, I put there a tutorial. Basically, there is a link here. If you click there, you should be forwarded to a link that has how do you, what do you need for doing C++ coding using Visual Studio Code. So what you need to do here, you have to install, I mean, all the steps are written here in this guide. So Visual Studio Code you have to install, then you have to install the extension, and then there's even a video there, but then you can do this one, this MSys2 page, that is for C++ compiler on any platform. I mean, if you use Windows, MacBook, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can use this one. Usually Macs come with some inbuilt C++ compiler. We call them G++ or GCC. If that doesn't happen, then you can use this one too. Then, I mean, but no, I mean, it requires the Windows machine. But for Mac, you will see that you have inbuilt C++ compiler. If not, you can download it from their store, Apple Store. I mean, it's free. And then it gives a lot of descriptions. And then most of the students, most of us actually forget this tiny step. This is super important. And then as you start this step, you will see a lot of conversation, like they will ask you yes or no. You should press yes, because this, that way you will get the software C++ compiler on your machine. So it gives you basically it gives you the steps here, so you can follow. You should be able to see all these commands here. Then see here, you have to enter Y when prompted whether to proceed with this installation. So don't be afraid to put Y here. This is absolutely legitimate software, and it's good software. It is not going to harm the performance of your machine, or it is not going to harm you any way from the security perspective. Then you will find all the stuff here, and then there are three possible variations of C++ compiler. One is the GCC. You can have the G++, and GDB is basically for debugging options. And then I mean, that's it. And then you can create a Hello World app. I'm going to walk you through the process pretty soon. uh, I already posted a video that I recorded day before yesterday. Go through that video, and you will see all the steps there. But in general, let me bring it here. This is Visual Studio Code that I installed, and yeah, that's good. Dima, you confirm that you have Visual Studio Code. That's good. Okay, so you can see here that I just wrote an example code, and this is my Visual Studio Code IDE. IDE means Integrated Development Environment. Here you can write your C++ code without any fear. So coding should be without any fear. I mean, you should write anything desperately. Then you will have errors on the compiler. Then you start solving the problem. There, that is the point when your learning starts. That is the main point where you start your learning. So anyway, so usually when you write a C++ code, your file name should be written as with an extension of CPP. So here I created a code called example1.cpp. In my setup, actually, I have this this plugin installed. I mean, C++ extension pack. Once you install it, you will see that a lot of other packages will come along with this, like this one, IntelliSense and themes. You don't have to do separate installation. And these are all from very good source like Microsoft. So I mean this is also reliable. I mean whenever you install something, be very mindful about from where you are installing, because of the cyber security concern. So don't install anything that is not from any reliable source. That's very important for us. So anyways, so if you do that, and then what you do, on the Visual Studio, you click on the terminal. So on the terminal you can click on the new terminal. So once you do that, and since you have already installed that mingw, I mean following the list that I showed you, or the video, step by step video that I shared with you. So you will see this one. So I mean it will be following the same folder as this one. So on Visual Studio Code, actually you can open any folder, like if you go here, um, the Explorer or the file, you can open the folder. So when you go to the folder, you can open, I mean, for example, I choose Classworks as a folder to share with you all the coding. So if you do that, you will come here, and then you can see here that under Classworks, I've created example 1.cpp. Now you click on terminal and create this new terminal. And once you are on the terminal, just do G++ dash version. So when you do that, you will see that there is a G++, some compiler is there. So that is good for us for, I mean, whatever we are going to do in this class. And how do we compile this code? So once you write this code, you just do G++, and then you can, there are two options. You want to create your own executable, or you can accept G++'s own, I mean the default executable. If you just do example 1.cpp, this one, then as a result of this compilation, if an executable file will be created, you can see it here, a.exe, that is the default. But you may not choose the default. You can choose G++, then dash o, that means your output file, executable file. You can say example.exe, that is your executable, and then you enter, and you will see that there will be a new file created, that is example.exe. So now in order to run the code to test whatever you have written, you have to do dot slash example.exe. I mean, uh, if you do dot forward slash, it will, the system will default you to the backslash, the way system wants you to do. So don't worry about that, and that just enter, and you will see that something is printed, some output is there. So that's pretty much the way all the codes that will be discussed in our class, or all the assignments that you are going to do, that will work in this way. Now, once you complete any assignment, how you are going to submit that assignment? That's the next part. So suppose you completed the labs here. What you should do, you should go here, and then, I mean, let me go to the student view. That will be easier for us. So you have to, once you complete the coding, you have the problems here. You can see once you start completed the coding, you should do start assignment. You come here. Now you can upload your code here, upload the file, and then choose the file, whatever file name you have, you can put it there. I mean, there are many options here. I'm telling you. So that is one option. And then what I expect you is that once you, for each of the assignment one, for example, you can put your code. I mean, you can say uh, problem 1.cpp, problem 2.cpp, problem 3.cpp, and then you can say that, like, your answer can be problem 1.cpp. Tell me if you don't see the pen, the writing on the screen. So problem 1, 2, 3, etc. And then along with that, I expect you to submit a Word document, Microsoft Word document, or a simple image, the screenshot of this screen, I mean this one, this particular screen, whatever, let me withdraw the annotation. So uh, what I expect is that we get this Word file, a screenshot of this Word file, especially the result. So how do you do that? The best way to do that is go to the window, I mean the window button, and then you do snipping tool. Click on the snipping tool. So once the snipping tool is here, you will see something like this. Do the new. Now you can screenshot your entire screen. Okay. And once you screenshot, you should be able to see the screenshot here. This is the snipping tool. You get the screenshot. Now you do that. You can save the file, save as. So whatever name you can do, problem1.cpp, sorry, problem1.png it will be, and then you save it, and that saves you on your machine. And then you go here and just add another file and use all, I mean provide with all the screenshots and all the C++ files. If you don't provide the screenshots, then you will lose points. I mean, about 20 to 30% points, because then you are writing the code, not providing the evidence that code is written. I mean, working properly. You know why I put that as a criteria? Because whenever you do software development in professional life, you sometimes, what we do today, I mean in today's environment, business environment, the employers cannot afford hiring separate testing team all the times. They may have, they may not have. So then the developers, what they do the coding, and then they capture the evidence of the application that it works, and then they save it so that their claim that their problem is solved can be supported by some written document. So I want you to follow exactly the same in the class, so that after the class, when you will be in the I mean in the professional world, you won't see any difference. Now, I told you that there are many options to submit the files. This is one of the options. Alternatively, if you happen to have any GitHub account, you can always push your code inside your GitHub account and pass a URL of that account here. You can say, here is my GitHub account, here is the link to my GitHub account, and you can find all the solutions and all the images, like the evidence that solution works in this particular URL. But do not pass any URL other than GitHub, because I mean, I'm not going to see anything if it is not GitHub. uh, you can upload the file. That way you don't have to upload and pass any URL. But if you pass URL, make sure you do the GitHub. Dropbox is also supported, but I mean, we do not need to complicate the stuff. And also we have provided you with the Office 365 plugin, so you can just, I mean, you can log in using your school's credential and just do the uh, create your document and just attach it along with this particular I mean assignment. So these are the options, or you can do the text entry as well. So it's up to you. But whenever you upload the program, make sure it compiles. If it doesn't compile, I will compile every program myself. If I find that your program doesn't compile, you will lose a lot of points. So just, I mean, if it does not compile, tell me. Compile, tell me that it's not working. We can have alternate arrangement. I mean, I can explain you why it is not working. So that's pretty much the way we should be working here in this class. Any question related to that? Okay, I assume you don't have any question. So I want to delete this one. Now I'm screwed up because I cannot delete this one. How do I delete it? No. this is the annotation. So how do I delete the annotation even? Um, so let me do a quickly. Let me unshare the screen, and that way actually this will be. So I'm stopping the sharing. Now I'm restarting the sharing. So that way it should be gone. So yeah, that works. Okay. So let's now start our journey to C++. So let's go to the slides. So let me configure the slideshow in a way that sometimes we can code as well. Uh, so that is it. Just a second. Enable editing. Okay. And then slideshow setup. Okay, that's good. So now we can, from the beginning, we can start the slideshow. This one. So yeah, and also I want to keep it here so that we have always an opportunity to write the code in case we want to do that. I mean, C++, I mean, programming is very hands-on topic. So I encourage you that whatever example we will be discussing in the class, it may not be possible for us to go through each and every example during our presentation, because in the presentation I'm going to focus on the basics of the language. So I'm encouraging you to go through all the exercises, like chapter 7 you will see all code snippets. So just copy those code snippets, uh, just use those code snippets on your personal VS Code and try to run those. That way you will learn a lot. So that's our main intent here actually. So let's start. So we are going to study about the arrays and vectors, and first of all the arrays. So, I mean, if we want to define the arrays, it is just, I mean, array can hold multiple values. That's very important to know. Just a second, why I'm not seeing anything here? Something is happening. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Okay, so arrays hold multiple values. So this is an example of the array, like for example, you have integer variable. The test is the name of the variable. You know, right? I mean, if you don't know, don't just um, don't be shy. I mean, always speak up. um, if you speak up, you can stop me, interrupt me. That is much more appreciated than just not listening, or just don't share your opinion. Always try to share your opinion. So this is the test. This is a variable, and you have like it has multiple values. So in C++ you can have an integer that has, let us say, t equals 0. So in that case this variable has only one value. You can have a string xyz equals hello. So this is only one value. Or you can have character a equals, let us say, c. So this is only one value. I mean, each variable here has only one value, but array is a particular data structure that holds multiple values. So that is the beauty of arrays, because if you have, for example, you are coding for Amazon, let us say, and they have a shopping cart, right? I mean, Amazon store, Prime store, they have the shopping cart. So the Amazon, as a programmer, what you are going to do, the shopper will be shopping on your I mean, using your shopping cart, and they will add one after another things on the shopping cart. So those items can be maintained in an array. I mean, I'm just giving you the example, not saying that Amazon is doing in that way. I mean, they have multiple data structure, but in its simplest possible way, you can store all those items in an array. But they may not be an integer. They may be some different objects. We will be talking about that later. Let us say you have a imaginary shop. You have an imaginary shop where you can shop for integers only, and then your solution is to create an array, and so it holds multiple values. So you can, you have to declare it in this way, in this square bracket operator, and this is the way. So here you see 5 means this array has 5 elements. Each of the each of the item in the array is called an element, and these elements are ordered in a particular way. So you have 5. So if you want to access the first element, you should do test 0. you know Test 0 means your first element. So in C++, the arrays are always starting with an index of 0. These particular things, like these particular numbers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are called the indexes. We will be talking about it later, but this is the way you define an array. Any question about this one? Okay. So behind the scene, what is happening on your computer? Again, I mean, this array, whenever we talk about the array, these are very popular question when you are doing a job interview. They will ask you, suppose you have an array with this type of array. So what's happening in the behind the scene on your computer, on your operating system? So basically, this is the memory structure. Your array data structure has is partitioned. It occupies a memory space and creates 5 partitions. So you have the first element, second, third, fourth, and fifth element that way. So I mean, the terminology, basically you do integer. When you write integer here, it means that under the array you have all integers. Some languages, unlike C++, not in C++, they support different type of variables to store inside an array. C++ does not allow that, but many languages. But here you define integer, then it will be the integers. Or you can do like string ABC. Let us say string str. This is an array. You can say like this, A, B, then you can have uh, B, C, you can have CA. So this is also an array, array of strings. What did I do here? So here, this one. Okay. This should be an array of strings. And then if you want to print it, let us say str here, and then let's put let's say 3 elements, therefore 0, 1, and 2. So 1, let us say we want to see BC here. So we save the code first. Control S is the command to save the code. Then we go to the terminal here. So we do G++ example1 dot cpp, and then dot slash example1 dot exe. What happened? Why? String. Why I do see 3 here still? So what is going on here? Oh, okay. I think that's the problem. We have to do this one, this command, and then if you run it, you will see the BC printed here. See this BC. So that's how you define the array of different types of variables. It can be double precision variable. It can be float. It can be anything. It can be character, whatever the variable types. I mean, the book that your textbook contains your all the chapters. I mean, just because we have started from chapter 7, it does not forbid you to go to the chapter 1 to just review the data structure. What are the possible variables, data types available with C++? So that's the benefit of reading a book, right? I mean, that's you document everything and you can go back and forth. And it is online, so on your mobile you can just load the book, and all the times, I mean, you do something, you don't do anything, you just open that your textbook there and just keep reviewing stuff. That will be very helpful. You know, it's very helpful because in like when I was interviewing in different companies. I mean, I come to my home from school work or from my work. uh, I walk on the road with my dog, and I just keep reviewing the stuff there. That helped me a lot because I'm walking of course, on the sidewalk and reviewing the stuff. So that's the benefit of having online resources and as a book. So that's, I mean, simple tips. So that's it. I mean, you have this one, this five. You can have int test five. This one. This way you can do. This way you can also do if you don't put any declaration, but you can choose to do a declaration of the size. So in that case, it will say that this array has a size of 5. So the main difference between line number 9 and 10 is that line number 9 makes you to build an array of 5, and you cannot add more elements to that. But line number 10 is kind of flexible. I mean, you can add as many elements as you can. So that's the benefit of not having any particular number here versus having a fixed number here. So that is the size of an array. Um, so that's pretty much it is. And if you can simply find the size of an array by doing this, um, just do that, and then you can say test uh, size maybe. Let's see if that works. Maybe it will not work, I forgot, but hopefully it will work. So if I no, it doesn't work. Size is not, it doesn't work. So okay, test, and then you can do length. No, something, I mean, we'll figure that out later. So what is test here? What expression, class type, or integer? Okay, anyway, that's always integer. Okay. Oh, I did not save it. That's why. Yeah, we have to verify. But I mean, we'll come to that point. But basically, just remember that this is the way we express the arrays. Up to that point, we want to learn up to that point. We'll go. I mean, how do we find the size of an array? There are functions out there to do that. So the size is like that. I mean, total number of bytes allocated for it. Always remember, this is the number of bytes allocated for it. That's a simple test actually. So that's it. And the size declaration, sometimes some people prefer to use the constant integer size. And whenever you have a constant in C++, it is always in capitalized letter or uppercase letter. So you can do 5 here, and then you can do just test, and then you can put that size parameter, pass that size parameter here. So the array, how do you access the array elements? So it's a, I spoke something about the memory. So array data structure, the way the array data structure work, it is called a random access data structure. That means if you know the index, I mean, there are 5 indices here. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 indices. So it's like that. I mean, if you just do it, so you have an array like that. Let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the values. And what about the indices? These are the indices. One is 0 index, its index is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Means this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So these are the indices for the array. index, and these are the value. So that is basically value and index. So if you have an array, and if you just pass a particular index, let us say 1, that means the second index, then you will see the value of that. So you can see that you don't even need to iterate over the array. You can just do a pass the index and get the value. So this is called random access, and it's the least costly method in terms of memory and in terms of time to extract an element of an array. Okay, I mean, is there any questions, comment, anything? So that's about it. So I mean, array element can be used as regular variables. Actually, you can do test 079. I mean, you can use like that. Like for example, here you can do it. We can tweak it a little bit. Like you have test 5 like this, let's say. You define it, and then what you do test 0 is a regular variable equals 1, test 1 equals 2, test 3 equals 3, and so on. If you do that, say you do, now you want to print them out, you can do simply, uh, you can come here on the terminal and just do the same thing, you know. This is this is weird. So we have to expand it a little bit. Why I can, yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good. So this one now, if I execute it, you will see 2. Why 2? Because test 1 is defined to be 2. So you can also define, specify the values in that way. In that case, each of the, I mean, these declarations, they act as a standalone variable themselves. So that's about it. And then, I mean, it should be accessed via individual elements. If you just write cout test here, if you do like this, you guess what? You will get error. I mean, if you do that and try to run this code in that way, you will see that you get an error. You see this one. So this is an object. What you are receiving here, this one, it will compile, it will run. There is no problem. But only difference is that you won't get these values. What is this? This is the reference to the object. Each object has a hash code. Each object is represented by a hash code, some I mean alphanumeric in the memory region of your computer. You are just displaying that one. But if you just display, let us say 1, then things will be different, and you will see the actual values. So you will see 2, the actual value. So that's, you have to be super careful about that. Whenever you do the programming, you have to be very, very careful about that. Um, okay. Anytime if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. So, I mean, there is a example, for example, here. Now, are you familiar with cout and cin? Can anyone speak up? Can any one of you tell me what is cout and what is cin? In this picture, in the left hand side, there is a slide. Can any of you tell me what is cin and what is cout?
Cin is when you're asking for an input,
Mhm.
and cout is when you want to output something.
Superb. Yeah, that's what it is. Very nice. Thank you. Yep, that's the one. That's the thing we want to remember. Cin is for input, cout is for output. So here you are expecting your whoever writes the code will provide you with some number when you do the cin here. So let's do a scene quickly. So I'm just sticking with the test. I mean, although there is a code there, you can always write the code, copy and paste the code. But I'm just doing like, let's say C in, and then I do test 4, let us say. I'm adding another element because there are total 5 elements possible. So I'm writing 0, 1, 2, 0, 1. This should be 2 actually. 2, and let me write 3. So let's do that. And once you write, guess what? Once you execute the code, it will expect you to write something. So here it is hanging because it expects you to enter the values. Let us say 5. So you get that. I mean, let's put it 3, otherwise you won't feel it that we have done anything. So you again do the compiling. Okay. So you do that and then you enter 5, let us say. That's the number value, and you print 5. So that is the value of whatever you enter, you got the output. Now, if you, I mean, what guarantees that C in and C out are working? What additional thing you need to put in your program? Anyone? I mean, I put something in order that C in and C out, they are known to the compiler. What did I do here? I had to add a header. What is that header? Anyone? Any suggestion? Just look at the code. Look at line number 1. What do we have as the header? We have IO stream. And I mean, the way C++ includes the existing library is to use the keyword hash include, this one, you know, and this is the input output stream library in C++. It's a standard header. It contains all the definitions, and it this has two modules or functions, that is C in and C out. So if you don't, if you somehow, if you don't write it, then your C in and C out, the program will not know. See, there are errors coming out. So you have to include this one, then the errors will be gone. This red sign will be gone, because that way the program knows that it knows about C in and C out. Anyways, so I mean, you can we already discussed about it. We showed that as an example, so you can we can easily skip it. But now, how do you accessing the elements? Now there are another way to access the elements of the array. So that is by running a for loop. Who does not know about for loop? So for loop is basically a repetitive structure. So when you have an array like this, I mean, this type of situation, typically you can run a for loop. How do you do that? It's pretty simple. You come here and you do for, then the syntax is like that. You start with the keyword for, put a parenthesis, and then you put the index. You take care of the index. I mean, these indexes, this index 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever index, int, and then you put I. That's the placeholder variable, index variable equals 0. So you start with 0, I less than 5, let us say. Not 5, let's say 4, because I don't have 5 elements defined here. And then I plus plus. Plus plus is an operator in C++ that guarantees that it will be incremented by 1. Now, once you do that, you can do C out and test I end line. So if you do that, let me get rid of this one. So you will still read from your, I mean, command line, this number. So if we just execute it, Let's execute the program. So I write 5, and then you see the for loop starts here. The code can be more cleaner. You can say for loop starts here, so that you know exactly where and how we are doing it. So if it is that, and then we recompile it, this one, write 5, and see for loop starts here. So there for loop starts, and we print everything. Okay, so this is also the way you can get the arrays, I mean the elements of the arrays. Then I mean, is there any question regarding the for loop? If not, then we can move forward. So let's I mean, if there is a, I mean, if you define an array like this, I mean, this is a global array, it's defined in the global scope. So if you have a global array, then it is always initialized to 0, each of the elements. So let's say here I am typing uh, global array. So I'm just accessing test 0. I've not defined it, right? According to the slide, it should be by definition it should be 0, because all the elements are initialized to 0. Let's verify that. So if we write that, you see, oh no, it's not. I mean, it's not initialized to 0. So it's not like that. So how do you do that? So let's say you do int abc 5. Can this be the global array? Then let's quit this program. Now if we do here abc 0, let's see. Okay, yeah. So the variable, I mean, main is also a function. Although it's a main function, it's a function. Anything that you define inside a function is a global variable. Sorry, it's a local variable. But this guy, this is a global variable. So that's why if you, all elements are initialized to 0 if you define it as a global variable. But local array, all elements are uninitialized. That's why you were getting, we were seeing these strange numbers, unpredictable numbers, because they are not initialized properly. Okay, so this is a good example, right? So that's it. I mean, sometimes we choose to initialize within the, if we have a local variable in an array, make sure you initialize them properly. This is one of the best practices you can follow when you do the C++ programming. So so that's about it. I mean, like we uh, you can code this one, but it's all we have already covered. I mean, the theoretically we have covered the theme of this particular slide. So we can also do partial array initialization. Guess what? I have done this one here. So partial array initialization is dangerous, because if I do I5, like he see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of 5, I have initialized only 4. I did not do the fifth one. And guess what? You will be surprised with what you are getting there, because you don't know what is there. So let's say 5 I put, and then the last one you will get some unpredictable number because I did not initialize it. So it's a best practice to initialize stuff. Okay. So then there is an implicit array sizing. I mean, this one particularly, if you remember, if we if we did it for the string array, if you don't specify anything, then this number of elements 12, 17, 15, 11, that will be implicitly assigned as, I mean, total 1, 2, 3, 4. assigned as the size of the array. The main advantage of defining array is that you can dynamically expand or contract the array. That's the main thing. So when you use a value as an array subscript, C++ does not check it to make sure it's a valid subscript. So what I'm saying here is here, you see, you have test 5, there are 5 elements. Now, what happens if I do it 6? There is not sufficient elements. So does our compiler check it? Let's see. So compiler does not check it. That's what it says. Now, if I try to run it, you know, we will be having some unpredictable results, some wrong results, because they are not, I mean, out of bound. I mean, this is out of bound, and therefore the result will be bad. I mean, this is a stale value. So whenever you code, you have to make sure you are consistent with this number and what number you are accessing. Or we'll see later, we can derive the size of the array, and that way we will be able to determine how many elements are defined. So I'm not going through this one. Um, so sometimes you can have off by one error. That is basically I mean, usually, I mean, whenever we say there are 5 arrays, we usually start our numbering scheme. It is conventional. From the childhood we were taught, I mean, at least in my time, I was taught like numbering scheme starts from 1 to 10, let us say. But in computer, in the C++ world, it starts from 0. So sometimes we make a mistake to be off by 1. So then in that case you will find that you are defining 100 as a size, but you start writing like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, numbers 100, but there is no 100th element here. There is a 99 index element there, which is the 100th element. So you have to be very careful about this one. So there is an enhanced for loop in C++, which is called the range based for loop. How you define that? So same for loop, you can use it in a different way. You can write for, and then you can say int, that's the data type of your array. Let's say int x, and then you put a uh, colon, and then you mention the array test, and then you come here and you do cout x, actual value. So we can write here cout range based for loop. So if you do that, uh, then if I compile my code, if I run my code, then you can see actually we don't want this one. We can get rid of this one. We don't want. Uh, and also, let's say I, I, I initialize it to some value. Test 3 equals, let's say 4. And that's it. And then if I run, uh, and then of course I have to specify test 4 to define all elements in the array. Let's say 6, this one. Now if I compile it and run it, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I mean, those are the elements we defined, but the for loop is defined in a little different way. There is no more uh, incrementing. I mean, no more I equals 0, I plus plus stuff. I mean, sometimes, those code, those type of coding, that type of coding, like we had before, like this one I'm talking about here, this type of coding, like count equals 0, count less than months. I mean, this type of coding, sometimes people call it boilerplate coding, like you are writing too many words there. And I mean, the modern programmers say that it's a smelly code. The code is smelling. So the one way to get rid of that smelly code is to use the advanced for loop or range based for loop, which is kind of this one. So I mean, if you write it in this way, your code sometimes look a lot cleaner than the one before. So you can modify your array, I mean, using the range based for loop as well. So basic example is this is the way you can do. You can write integer, the type of the, like this code here, left hand side. Focus on the slide. So you can see that there is an integer which has the ampersand in the beginning, the and sign, which is a reference variable. This is the reference to the this one is the reference to the indexes, actually, the reference to the memory. And then you do the integer, I mean, you do the cin, and then the display the values in the array, and then you can see that you get all the values here. So that way, actually, you can modify the array with the range based for loop. This is the way you can do it, because there is no straightforward way to modify the values of an array if you use the range based loop. Let me illustrate you with some example. So suppose this is the array and you want to, there is a business requirement that you line number 13, you have to modify the third element or index 2 element. Instead of 3, it should be 5, 10, let us say. So if you have a conventional for loop, it is very straightforward. What you can do for even you don't need a uh, let us say you have to change all the values here. Instead of 1 2 3 4 5 6, you have to increment everything by 1. I'm just making up some problem. So int I equals 0, I less than let us say that should be 5, I plus plus, no problem, right? And then what we can do, test I equals or test I plus plus. That will increment everything by 1. And now if you just do a for loop to print out everything, you will see that there will be there won't be the previous numbers, rather they will be incremented by 1. So C out, and then end line. So I'm just not doing anything here. I'm assuming that you know how to comment out the code. So this one, if I run, you will see that everything is incremented by 1. So modify. So we have modified the arrays. It is pretty straightforward if you have a simple array, I mean, simple for loop. But how do you do that if you are using a modern for loop, or I mean advanced for loop, or the range based for loop? The way you should do it is very simple. You can do int, and then you have to use the reference of the indexes, reference of the values for each index. So basically what you are doing here, you are jumping into the memory location where each value is stored. And now here what you are doing, you are simply making it plus plus. So that way you should be able to increment, modify the values. So let's try to print it again. Let's comment out this one. Let's get rid of that one, and let's put it there. Cut, and then let's put it there. So this is actually, this is exactly same as what we did before. So uh, we modified it. So let's see how it works. So what happened here? Oh, I should not have done that. I should be doing x plus plus here only. Okay, now it should be nicer to us. So yeah. You see, everything is incremented by 1. So this is the way. Instead of doing in using the conventional for loop here, you can just use the reference. Basically, by doing that, what you are doing here, making your for loop to jump into the memory location, and whatever variable is there in the each memory location, you are incrementing those variables by 1. That's what it is doing. If you want to translate this code into simple English, that's what it is doing. Okay, any question so far? Okay, so I mean, that we have done. So there are pros and cons. So you can process the array contents. I mean, like uh, we have just done that. I mean, you can do tests I plus plus. This is different from this line, right? Tests I plus plus here. I mean, we are focusing on here. Is there uh, any laser pointer? Anyways, I mean, I don't find laser pointer. Don't want to experiment with anything. What is that? Okay. Anyways, I'm not able to find out the laser pointer on my. Anyways, so if you have tests I plus plus, this means you are adding 1 to the tests. But if you do tests within the square bracket I plus plus, that means you are incrementing the index. These are completely different things. You should not mess, I mean, you should not mess up this one with that one or that one with this one. If you do so, then your I mean results will be completely mess. Now the array assignment, this is super important topic in terms of C++. uh, so suppose what you want to do, you have an array, right? You have an I'm deleting this one, thinking, I mean, treat it like as if I'm writing on a board, blackboard or whiteboard, whatever it is there in your classroom, physical classroom. Just I'm just replacing this one with that. But we have an array like that. Now suppose you want to assign another array to this array. So let's say we define another array. We say int um, duplicate, and then this is an array, right? So we defined another array. So what happened here? Oh, incomplete type is not allowed. What is incomplete type? So let's say 5. So yeah, so we defined it. Now what we can do, if we do duplicate equals test, we can think that, I mean, it is just, I mean, duplicate value is assigned to, I mean, test is assigned to duplicate. Then that is wrong. you know it doesn't work in that way. What you have to do, you have to do a deep copy, meaning you have to run a for loop. For, let's say, you write int I equals 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. These are the cases where you need this type of for loop, not the range based for loop. So now you do duplicate I equals test I. So you have to by hand set each value, I mean each index of duplicate to each value of each index of test, each value of the test. So if you do that, and then if you print the value, I mean values of the duplicate, let's say, for now you can use the range based value, int x colon duplicate, and then you can do cout, and then you can do x. Okay, I made a mistake. I should be doing this one. Okay, Now if you print, you will see the duplicate is exactly cloned. I mean, test is cloned into duplicate, copied into duplicate. So here you can see we have clearly copied everything on the test into the duplicate. But the previous scheme, that is, you are just writing test, I mean, duplicate equal test, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in that way. Always remember that. So we need the printing the content of the array. Um, we don't need to do, I mean, we already did that, I guess. I mean, yeah, that's an important thing. If you have an character array, so basically a string is an array of character, right? So you do character, let's say C array, and then you can write Henry, and then you can simply, for this one, this type of data, you can simply write C, and your Henry uh, will be printed out. So this is a good thing, but this only works for the character array. It does not work for any other type of array data type. It only works for character data type. You always remember that. So that's about it, and then you can always print the content of the array. We have already done it. Um, in C++11 version 11, you can use the range based for loop to display an array's content. So this one we have already done it. If you by any chance have very old version of C++, this particular feature was not there. So you can do the summing and averaging the array elements. So summing is kind of, uh, I mean, it's pretty simple, straightforward. What you can do here, you can define a variable sum to be 0, and then you can increment, keep on incrementing. Like, for example, we want to derive 1 plus 2 plus 3 for 4 plus whatever 6. The way we can do the summing, you can do cout uh, summing. Okay, I'm doing mistakes here, so that's it. So if you do the summing, you can do it in this way. What is happening here? Ah, okay, that's fine. So summing, if you do like you have this array, so you start the array. It's like a game. I mean, once you um, are into it, once you are into it, you will be a super expert of writing the code in this way, I plus plus, and then you go there, and now uh, you can define a sum function. You can say int, let's say sum equals 0, int sum equals 0, and then you can also define average, which will be a double precision, uh, avg equals 0 0.0, let us say. Now what is the scheme here? You can simply do sum plus equals. If anyone does not know about plus equals, let me know, or you can even search the web for that, or look at the book. You will find the reference test I. So what it does, it increments sum by test I amount. So in the first step, it will be 0. Next step, it will be 1. Then next step, it will be 1 plus 2 equals 3. Next step, it will be 1 plus 2 plus 3. That is 3 plus 3 is 6, and so on. So you get the sum. So you can say cout sum. That is your sum. And then average should be cout sum divided by the size of the array, which is 5. So if you have that, then you can run the code again, and you will see that it is 16 and 3. Why 3? Because it is integer. Sum is an integer. So what is happening? Let's see. 6 for it is 16. 16 divided by 5, it's not, it should be double, So what you have to do, you have to do average AVG equals sum by 3. Okay, let's see if that solves the problem. Sorry, not this one. Yeah, this is the way. Now if you run the code again, so you get 5, you still get 5. So what you have to do here, you have to do double, cast the variable sum to double, cast it to double as well. Then probably you will solve this problem. Sorry. So here it comes. So now you will see this one. What we did here is that sum is an integer, right? So we casted it. This way of writing a variable is called casting. So you are casting sum to be a double. You are casting integer, I mean 3 to be a double, and then your average comes to be a real double number. Any question? Okay. So that's what we did, and let's move on. Now, similarly, you can find the highest value and lowest value as well. I'm leaving this part of code to you to figure out how do you find the highest value and the lowest value. Um, Go through the slide and you will find it out yourself. But it is all about defining the array and just navigating through the for loop, and then do some algorithm like here what they did. So we have next question is, how do you compare two arrays? I mean, if you compare to like two numbers, it's much straightforward, right? You have a number a, integer a, you have integer b. You write a equals, if a equals b, our problem is solved. Like what I'm trying to say here, let's say we have, so let's say we have two numbers, integer a equals 5, int b equals 6. Now you can say if a equals b, then you can do something, whatever you want. So this is the comparison. But what happens if a and b are arrays? So let's say you have an array t1, you define the elements here, whatever elements, t2. So how do you make the comparison? You cannot just say it, if t1 equals t2, that will not work. T1 equals t2, it will just not work. So for that, actually, you have to do in this way. So that way, sorry, this, you have to use this way, which is like this. You have to use this way. So what you have to do, you have to just pick up each of the elements, you know, um, and then you have to run some logic. Like you have to define a Boolean variable, array equal true, and then so long as your count is less than size, you keep on comparing, and if it is not equals, then it is false. And then you can say that, I mean, once, if the array equals, I mean, once it is false, um, you know uh, what happens here, if array first array is I mean count, you're incrementing the count. If it is false, then this is somehow hacked. No, it is not hacked. I mean, you see here, you have false. So then once it becomes false, by default it's true, but once it is become false, it became false. For the remaining counts, it will, um, it will be like that. It won't be true anytime after once it is false. So then if it is equals, then the arrays are equal, else it is false. That's how it works. So uh, you have to compare element by element. So if you find any one of the elements are not equal, then you will basically, from the code, you can see in this part of the code, you can see clearly that it will be not equal. The arrays are not equal. That's why. There are even other ways. I mean, if your sizes are not same, you can first compare the sizes. If the sizes are not same, then the arrays are not also the same. You can say that. So there is another, structured binding declarations. It's very important topic. Like here you have an uh, a variable test scores. It's an array, 80, 90, and 100. What you can do, you can write auto. That's the structure binding declaration. Score 1, score 2, and score 3 equals test score. So what it is doing, it is defining three integers automatically: score 1, score 2, and score 3. So you are not writing the code int score 1, int score 2, int score 3. You are not doing that. You are just doing auto score 1, score 2, score 3, and then that is equal to test scores. These array. So by C++ internally, it equates score 1 to 80, score 2 to 90, and score 3 to 100. This is an excellent excellent feature of the modern C++. In the older time, this was not there. This facility was not around, but only in the modern time you can see this facility. So you can use the parallel arrays many times. Parallel array means, suppose you have two different things going on. Like, for example, it's very easy. Although it writes I strongly doubt if it at all deserve that much attention that the slides are giving it. It should be much easier than anything else. So it is like this. You have an array. Let's say you have a student structure. You have a student system. So you have student ID. So let's say there are 5 students in the class. I'm giving you example. So int student ID, there are 5 elements. And then you have string s name, student name. They have name, right? 5. So if you define it in this way, and then you run it as a for loop, then student 0, index 0 will have a name which is corresponding to index 0. So basically this is the ID array, this is the name array. So this is called parallel array. So the main disadvantage of using parallel array is that you cannot, you have to keep track of the things. Like, you cannot randomize. Like, you put all the student names and you don't care about the index, it will not work. You have to be consistent with what ID you are putting, and they have to be corresponding to particular names. If you can keep track of that, then you are good, and so on. That's the parallel array. So yeah, exactly the same stuff they have used here. So let's keep that. You can use array as function arguments. So do you know the function? In C++, do you can you, in a simple word, can any of you tell me what is a function? Just a simple word. No answer is right, no answer is wrong. There is no, or everything is correct. Tell me what is a function? Any one of you. Anyone? Have you learned anything about function yet? Okay, let's see. Um, well, I mean, parameter is a part of function, but you know what is function? I mean, that's a good attempt, Miguel. But you know, it is like this. The function is something like, yeah, I like it when you attempt to answer the question. That shows your engagement. So let's see here. Um, you know, function is like that. You have integer, a data type. You have to define a data type. Let's say you write get id. Then you have a argument. So let's say int x. So this is called the parameter. As Miguel said, this is the parameter. Then you do something. Since this has a data type, you have to return an integer from here. Let's say I do z, because z is calculated by some int z is calculated by some way from x. X, let us say x times 3 is z. So you just do, that is a function. This is called a function in C++. There can be two types of function. One type that returns a value, this one, but another type can be does not return a value. That can be a void. So you can do do it. Let's say the argument is integer y. Let's do a print. I mean, see out y. So it prints out an element. So this is called void. That's why it does not return anything. This is called int. That's why this returns something. So here, so you have show score. Now you can pass this one as a as an you can pass it as a parameter. So let's say if we write it in this way, let me create it over again. That is a uh, good thing compared to a blackboard. You don't have to clean it every time. So here you have let's say you have void. When you define the function void show scores, and then you do int x, that is your that is the way you define your function. But then when you call it within your code, let's say you wrote something in the main function and now you are calling it, you have to do simply, and this is an array, x is an array. So you have to do show scores and just pass x there. That's it. You don't have to do anything like this one. So some examples are here. I mean, you can go through this example, but this is the way you should do it. So you can modify the arrays in the function as well. I mean, the same way as we did before, but it's a part of the function. So there can be multi-dimensional arrays. There can be two-dimensional arrays. So they should be like this. Um, you know, uh, when you have a two-dimensional array, they should like a matrix, for example. So you have this one, like this type of table. Then you have columns, then you have rows. Now, let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let me get rid of that. Then I can do that. So now this is kind of a matrix, and then uh, along the column direction you have x basically. This is y. So when you have the rows, so these are the rows. This is the rows. So you can have, let us say in this case, two rows, r equals 2, and columns. How many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 columns. C equal to 6. And if I define an array like this, A 2, 6, that means this is a two-dimensional array with two rows and 6 columns. So now if you have A, let's say 0, 1, what should be it? So 0 means this one, this row, first row, but 1 is the second column, this one. So this should be 2. Similarly, if you have A1, let's say 1, 3, then A1 should be 1 means this row, and 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3. A1, 3 should be 10, right? So that's the two-dimensional array. Now you can manipulate a two-dimensional array in this way. You can define it in that way, and then you can set the value. The only thing is that in order to set the values programmatically, or in order to get the values, you have to run two for loops, a nested for loop. So these are the first one, line number 20. The first for loop is for the rows, whereas the second for loop is for the columns. So that's the way you should run the for loops. I mean, to access two-dimensional array. There can be five-dimensional array. Then you have five nested for loops. But whenever you write a program, try to reduce multi-dimensional array, because they are very, very costly. Because what is the cost of this total memory cost? Basically 2 times 6, that is 12. So you have to reserve 12 blocks of memory. This is, I mean, now if you have 10-dimensional array, each has 10, I mean, like 10 elements. So then 10 times 10, 10 to the power 10 it will become. So that's not practical, right? The That many memory is not practical. You will go out of memory and your program will crash eventually. So that's pretty much it is. And then I'm just skipping this one because we already kind of I mean, this is the way you should define your two-dimensional array. Let me again. So here, this is the way you should define your two-dimensional array. Note that there are curly braces formed in this way. So it means that you have each of the element in this array is an array. So you have, in this case, the way it is defined, you have an array defined in this way. You have another array, 1, 2, 3, 4, done, comma. You have another array, 5, 6, 7, 8. So your array is defined. Now, this is a two-dimensional array because there are two rows. This is the row 1, This is the row 2, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. This is the column 0, 1, 2, 3. This is row 0 and this is row 1 actually. So that's how you define a multi-dimensional array. So you can do the summing up of those arrays. I'm not going through those examples. I'm leaving it up to you to do the calculations. This is just navigating through the way we do it. So a lot of examples are given here. These examples are part of the book, but in the slides you will see the most important examples, and from the slides you can do cutting and pasting. From book you cannot do all the times. So from the slides you can do cutting and pasting, and then you can try it yourself. So yeah, that's what we discussed already. I mean, this is not good way to handle the arrays using the three-dimensional one. Now, there is a standard template vector that is a C++ utility, I mean, new utility. So, uh, a data type is defined in the standard template library. So, it will be covered more in chapter 17. I would like to defer this discussion to a later part of this course. But in general, you know, um, it is the vectors are defined in this way. Basically these are the vectors. So if I delete this one, so these are the vectors. That's how you define the vectors. So it starts with the keyword called vector, then you put the type of the vector, and then the scores, whatever. I mean, scores is a vector. Basically this is a variable name. So the main feature of vector is that it automatically adds space as much is needed. So for array, for array you have to have predefined uh, spaces, but for vector you don't have to have. You can have a vector, open or ended vector. Then you can have one element, you can have 100 element. It doesn't matter. Now you can access each element using the random access style. Some examples. So if you see these, you have, this is the way you define the vectors. So this is equivalent to defining an array of numbers, you know, but you are using the vector. Why? Because you want to dynamically expand or contract it. So now display the vector element. You can see here you are using here range based for loop. You could use the normal for loop as well, but you can use the range based for loop in this way. So these are the members of the vector. So you have at I. Let us write something related to the vector. Then it will be easier for us to understand. So if you do, oh, I have to use that one too. Sorry, what did I do? Vector. So if I delete everything from here, now focusing on defining a vector, let's say uh, vector int v, then we can do it in this way, just like this way, v, and then we can say uh, 10, 20, 30. Okay, what did I do here? Okay, I have to do it in this way. Okay, that's my vector. And now what we can do, there are multiple functions at vector, so we can do like v dot, let's say cout, v dot at, let's say which position, 1 0 1 2, let's say 2. That means we expect here to print 30. So if you compile the code again and run it again, you see 30 is coming out. So at 2, it is the, I mean, returns the value of the element. The capacity is the maximum number of elements a vector can store without allocating more memory. It's not here, the capacity is not 3. Capacity is, I mean, we can see, but it's defined by your system. So if you do that, you can see. So, oh, well, I mean, my bad. This is the way we define the capacity, because it's the way we defined it. So this is the maximum element this vector can hold because of the definition. Now you can reverse the order of the element. So if you do v dot reverse, then you know your, what did I do here? Yeah, it should be fine, but why it is vector int has no member reverse. So is it the vector dot h? No, there is no such element like that. But reverse doesn't work. We'll see it later. But basically, your vector, it reverses the order. So I don't know why it is not working. Let me see. V reverse. If I do that and if I try to compile it, does it work? No, it doesn't work because vector has no member named reverse. Not reserve. It should be reverse. I don't know why it didn't work. It should work. I will take a look later and post the answer why it didn't work. Maybe we have some problem with the C++ version, but I have to see. But then you can do the resize, you can do the swap. I mean, exchange the elements of two vectors. I mean, you are exchanging the elements. So vector 2 becomes vector 1 becomes vector 2 in this case. So I think, I mean, that's about it. We don't have anything to explain, but why reverse did not work, let us take a look. You know, let's go to the Google for our rescue. Vector reverse not found. So if you do that, uh, yeah, that's the thing. We had that problem, and what is the solution? Oops. So it is maybe it is um, related to the version of the C++. Let's see. Yeah, this one. So maybe we have to do std, standard std. No, that's not good. B. No, it didn't work either. So okay, so it should work in this way. You can see here, begin. Okay, that's fine. Reverse. Oh, okay, it has some arguments. So reversing the elements. So vector begin, vector end. So let's do that. Reverse, let's say we do it this way. Reverse v begin, v end. Does that work? No, it is has no member reverse. So I think this is specific for the C++ version that we are uh, running with. So it may not be, it may not be working for us. Uh, let's see again. Yeah, this is the one. So it says this one. Okay, there is no member function. So you should use the standard algorithm std reverse declared in the header algorithm. So basically you have to do um, so declared in the algorithm. So maybe you have to include the algorithm, include algorithm, and then your reverse will be effective or no. So std still not working. So I don't know how will it work, but it should work. I mean, reverse should be working. Somehow it is not supported by our compiler. So basically, let's see. Let's give a final try. Reverse v begin and comma v dot end. So is it still not supported? It does not have any member. It says, I mean, uh, this one, this vector class v, it does not have any member called uh, reverse. So that's the problem. V dot, let's see. Reserve is not, I mean, it prints out everything that this compiler has, you know, it does not do reserve. So that's the problem here. So we'll solve the problem. I mean, during this week, let me think about it. About, I mean, of course, we have other alternate ways, but the vector's internal method should work, which is not working right now. So probably this has to do with some version of the whatever we are using. Maybe this is related to uh, some version of C++ that we are using. So if we do reserve, yeah, this one, for example, here you can see it should work like this way. Um, Reserve, not reverse. So reverse, no, it doesn't work here. Okay, I will take a look and get back to you. So let me know. I mean, uh, do you have any question so far? We are almost at the end of this class, but do you have any questions? Let me go through quickly about the assignments so we can see what we are expecting here. So if you do take a look at the lab one, you have to write a program that lets the user enter 10 values into an array. So basically, I think that the way you should approach this problem is as follows. Just a second. What is going? Okay, that's not the one I wanted. It just copied the Zoom screen. Yeah, now it is good. So the first one, write a program that lets the user enter 10 values in the array. Program should display the largest and smallest value. So first, what you should do, like 10 values. So you run a for loop from 1 to 10. Okay, I'm just giving you pseudocode 1 to 10, and then you do cin. Okay, cin. Uh, you define an array uh, in the top, arr 10, let us say, and then you define the arrays. So integer maybe int array int sorry array arr I. Okay, that way you populate your array. Now then you have to do largest and smallest. This is given in the slides. I mean, how do you calculate the largest and smallest? That is given in the slides, and you compute that. Just go through the slides, you will find how to compute largest and smallest. That is number one. Let's see what's number two. Write a program that lets user enter a total rainfall for each 12 months into an array of doubles. Program should calculate and display the total rainfall for the year, average monthly rainfall, and the months with the highest and lowest amounts. So, I mean, the first part is pretty simple, like this one. You have to just write for loop 0 to, I mean, 1 to 12 and 0 to 11. It should be 0 to 11. You have to run a for loop and populate. Then calculate the total. Total is not a problem. Sum plus equals, that is the way you do. We already calculated the sum, and then it asks about small, I mean, what happened here, the average is number of months 12, I mean sum divided by 12, then the months with the highest and lowest amount. So this is little tricky, you know. um, you have to find the largest value, you have to calculate the lowest value, and then, I mean, it's basically the same thing as one. There is little difference. The last one, I mean, of course, you have some input validation here. Do not accept negative numbers for monthly rainfall figures. So you have to run a while loop, and then you have to handle the errors, I mean, validation within that while loop. If you cannot do it, let me know. I mean, I mean, just send me a message. I will send you some guidelines. But it should be straightforward. If you look at the book, it should be straightforward, or even the slides. Next question is, write a program that asks the user for a file name. Assume the file contains a series of numbers, each written on a separate line. Program should read the contents of the file into an array, display the data. It's absolutely simple. Only mix here is that you have to know how do you read and write file, the streams. So, so you have to use if stream, okay, as your include. So just open the file, and then you have to read the data in the standard way. I mean, if you look at the book how to read from a file, or if you just I mean, uh, like travel in the Google, you will find plenty of examples with C++. The a very good site for doing this research is Geeks for Geeks, or you can even look at the W3 schools. So just your challenge here is open a file and read the data loading into the array. Remaining stuff is pretty simple. You have to just do the display. The lowest number, highest number, that is already in one. Total number, that is the sum. Average is the sum, and that's it. I mean, that is it. I mean, you will find the file named numbers.txt in the module one. So you uh, it should be this number is given here actually. If you go to the module one here, so if you go to the module, you should be able to see what happened. Not module, the files. If you go to the files, you should go to the student files, and there you can see module one, and you see here uh, numbers. I mean, I put some working text here. I mean, the template, program template here, you know. So you have to just write your code, get total. I mean, just put some templates here. So you upload this template, copy and paste into your Visual Studio Code, and then start coding here, here, and here. Three functions you have to populate. So this that benefit will be your function, your knowledge about the functions will be refreshed. But I mean, that's it. And then you have a guideline. You don't have to start from zero. You have some code in place. You can still try to compile. You will see that it doesn't compile, but then you have to fill up the code, and then you get going. So the numbers is like this. It should be like these numbers. So this file is also given. So here, I think the file management stuff is already worked out for you. Yeah, I have worked it out for you. I gave you how to open the file. So you got the array. But what you have to do, your challenge will be these functions: get highest, get lowest, get sum, get average. You see, everything is already there. You have to fill out these functions. So I want you to very focused on the arrays in these exercises. So that's about it. That's the lab. So if you do it, and then I think there are few more assignment. Yes, you need to download. We need to download CPP or screenshot. Dima, what do you mean by screenshot? I mean, there is no screenshot.
No, I didn't understand. Just I'm asking
Oh,
if we
okay.
need
So,
to
so
download CPP or just screenshot like screenshot of my program that
oh, I mean,
creates.
when you upload or download, I mean, when you deliver the assignment, are you talking about that? When you submit
I'm
it?
talking about assignment when I need to submit it.
Oh, when you need to submit it, what you need to do is you need to upload your code. That is number one. Number two is the screenshot that it worked. Whatever, I mean, you execute the code. I want you to supply a screenshot like this one here in the Visual Studio Code. Uh,
So we don't need to download our CPP code,
you have to
CPP
upload your
file.
CPP file. Yes, you have to upload your CPP file. Yes,
So we need to do both.
both. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
There will be 6 deliverables, 3 CPP files and 3 screenshots.
Okay,
That,
thank you.
yep, yep. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, is there any other? Yeah, that's Richard already spoke about it. Both. Yeah, that's good, Richard. So that is okay. And there are other assignment as well. So there is a quiz as well. So if you look at the quiz, I don't want to take the quiz here. So leave the student view. If I go to the quiz and do a preview, you should see something like this, you know. So these are not super hard. You can, I mean, this is unlimited submission. So the only thing is that the question may change, but that will be good because your, I mean, midterm, final exam, those will be based on these master quizzes. So it will be good for you to go through, do it multiple times. Uh, just make sure, uh, I mean, you, I think it keeps your final score. So you can do it like next 7 days, you can do it 700 times. The quiz, it doesn't matter. So just go through the quiz and you can consult your slides, you can consult your book to get the right answer. Or I mean, of course, you will know it. If you go through the book, you follow the lecture, you should be able to answer it. But just in case. So yeah, I mean that's about it. Any final question for me today? Well, if not, then thank you so much for attending the class. And I hope that we will have a fantastic journey in this class. We'll do some hands-on as well as a lot of presentation. From the next class, actually, I will try to, these are the topics, these are easy topics. So that's why I moved faster. But as we jump into little conceptual topics, it will be little slower. Then that will allow us to do more hands-on than the description. Okay, so if there is no question, then let's call the meeting now and see you next week. Unless you have any issues, and reach out to me in between, and we have an office hour. Okay, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.